Hi, everybody. My name is Nach Flynn. I'm the senior judge for this session, and we don't want to mention any affiliation or relationship with the university or where you are at as well. What we'll do is we'll spend maybe 5 to 10 minutes with introductions where the judges will share a little bit about themselves, what they do, and what brought them here. And then the consulting group will just go around, introduce yourself. You don't need to share where you are at, just your name and kind of the role that you will play. And the next thing is we'll spend about 25 minutes. You have 25 minutes to do your presentation. And then I will give you a 5-minute warning via chat so I don't interrupt you. And then lastly, we'll have a Q&A and feedback session separately. So we'll jump into Q&A where you judges are in a role. So you make sure you're in like a board or whatever the team needs us to be. And then what we'll do is that we'll move into feedback where you'll get to provide the feedback to our team so that it can help them with the next round. All right, so I just introduced myself. Why don't we start with Monica?
My name is Monica Pleasant. I am an HR director at Medtronic, which is a medical device company, a global medical device company. I'm based in Orange County.
There is one thing, I apologize, I did not mention. I need to read the script to you. It's required. In this part of the competition, you are taking on a fictional business identity and assigning a fictional business identity to the judges. Please make sure everyone knows who you are and who they are before you begin. You will have 25 minutes to describe the legal, financial, and ethical dimensions of the problem and to recommend a solution that passes muster on all 3 counts. During this time, teams will be uninterrupted. When you are finished, the judges will ask you questions for 10 to 15 minutes. During the Q&A, both you and the judges stay in character. After the Q&A, the judges will give you feedback outside of the role playing. Okay, John, let me hand this to you for introduction.
Great, thank you. My name is John Rangel, and I'm recently retired, although semi-retired, I guess, is the way it's kind of working out. I've had over 35 years experience in as chief financial officer. Primarily, I ran a business in Europe for about 3 years. But my experience has been mostly, almost virtually, in either the sporting goods business or in the outdoor world. So I know Patagonia pretty well. My most recent position was CFO of Specialized Bicycles up in Northern California, and I continue on the board and as a consultant, an advisor to the business. This is my first time judging, and I'm really excited, both because of the topic, which is super pertinent these days, but in addition, just to learn something and to learn from all of you. So I'm really excited to understand what you're thinking, how you're thinking, and to understand the ethical issues, business issues that you're interested in, and how you propose to solve it. So thank you.
Thank you so much, John. And now our consulting group, please introduce yourself. Keep it brief.
Sure. So my name is Asha. Today I will be talking mostly about the specifics of Patagonia. That's where my focus is in this group.
Sandhya, and I will be talking a lot about the legal perspectives of this project.
My name is Jonathan, and I'll be focusing on the finance section for the project.
I'm Olivia, and I'm looking more into the ethics of the problem and our solution.
My name is Jonathan. I'm going to be focusing on the culminating solution of our consulting group called Quad Consulting, and we're going to present to you all, which is the board of Patagonia.
Well, whenever you're ready, team, go ahead and present.
Okay. So we are Quad Consulting, and we want to thank you guys for taking the time to be with us today. Today, we're going to talk about Datagonia, which is our solution to aligning Patagonia's data-driven innovation with its sustainability commitment. So first, to talk a little bit more about what we're going to go over today. So we're going to talk about the issues in the background first, and we're going to introduce our solution. And then we're going to talk about the ethics, legal, and financial implications of that solution. And then finally, we're going to go into more detail about implementing the solution and the broader context of it. So to begin with, we'll have the issue and background. So we want to explain that the reason that we're here today is because we want to help you ensure that Patagonia is keeping its place as an industry leader in its respective environment. We want to make sure that they're doing so through taking advantage of the various technological advancements that are emerging throughout the world, while still keeping the core principles at the forefront of business decision making. So to talk more about the core principles of Patagonia, Patagonia strives to prove that purpose and profits are inextricably linked. So you guys have made it clear that the purpose of Patagonia is to ensure that climate change is not under is to ensure that climate change is a reduced threat. And so doing so through these three levels of resource allocation, which is looking for ways to support community-led efforts such as through like financial means, as well as management supports as well. And then management section of the climate. So looking at every single level of the company to make sure that that emissions and compliance with the climate standards are at every level of the company. And then finally, with activism and using Patagonia's large platform to raise voices more about these issues. So these are basically some of the biggest core parts of Patagonia's purpose. And so Patagonia has already implemented plenty of things regarding these sections, but I'll hand it over to Jonathan to talk more about what we can continue to implement.
Thank you so much, Asha. So if you guys don't remember anything from this presentation, this is the key part. So please listen up. And our proposal really is 3 simple steps. So we believe that Patagonia should use AI to stay ahead of the curve, as well as kind of have that edge in terms of innovation, which also will play over into profits. However, the use of AI should be specifically used in the implementation of supply chain transparency, as well as being very open and clear where different sources are coming from to keep customers and also stakeholders in the loop of that. Not to mention, once, let's say, all the implementations go as well, we suggest as Quad Consulting a hybrid cloud solution, specifically Panduit, that kind of, again, aligns with that profit as well as purpose to be aligned. Next, I'm going to pass it to Olivia to talk about the more ethical portion.
Thanks, Jonathan. Using AI poses ethical questions for all businesses. As we will discuss, there are huge environmental concerns that come along with creating and using artificial intelligence models. All types of companies will have to make decisions about the trade-off between innovation and sustainability that comes along with adding AI to business infrastructures. Companies will have to decide if they want to value profits more or the environment. Business leaders have been debating this obstacle for decades, and the dramatic increase in AI use makes this an even more challenging topic. All previous environmental and sustainability goals will be thrown out the window, could potentially be thrown out the window, as AI offers companies opportunities that have never existed before. Patagonia, though, has been a leading example of what it looks like to put the earth above money and corporate greed. It has professed commitment to the environment and fighting against climate change since the company's origin. With these commitments and dedication to the environment, a lot of consideration must be put into AI use. Patagonia is an environmentally focused organization, and this is clearly stated in your commitment written by the founder, Yvon Chouinard, in 2022, where he stated that Earth is now our only shareholder. This company was founded with a dedication to sustainability as the most defining feature. The company has remained steadfast to this responsibility for the past 50 years, and it should continue to do so. Patagonia also has many goals and plans to reduce their carbon footprint that using artificial intelligence could compromise. To start, Patagonia has aligned itself with the 2015 Paris Agreement goal, which, according to the United Nations, is to pursue efforts to limit the global temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Using artificial intelligence increases carbon emissions, which leads to climate change and would raise the Earth's temperature. If Patagonia were to deviate from this goal that they have aligned themselves with to incorporate AI, they would be going against all of your core company values and everything that this company was built on. Another sustainability goal that Patagonia has is to achieve net zero GHG or greenhouse gas emissions in the value chain by 2040. The exponential increase in artificial intelligence use leads to a massive increase in energy use. The energy that you guys would need to add AI into your business could lead for greenhouse gas emissions and to increase a lot and a large use of fossil fuels as well. Patagonia using AI would lead to detrimental effects on the environment that are directly against your sustainability goals and commitments. This calls into question whether Patagonia should use AI at all, and if there is a way to ethically implement artificial intelligence into a business. Our solution will show that there are ways to achieve innovation and sustainability, and it is possible for Patagonia to stay committed to the environment and maintain a competitive edge in the industry by staying innovative and relevant and using AI. Now I'll pass it off to discuss the legal implications of our solution.
Thank you, Olivia. So now I'll be walking through the legal considerations that Patagonia should keep in mind as they implement a cloud-based AI solution. And first, I wanted to go over data privacy, which is such a big, major legal and, once again, ethical concern with any AI system that you look at. So since Patagonia operates globally, they have to comply with many different international standards and domestic ones. And one I really wanted to touch on is the General Data Protection Regulation, which is the GDPR, and it's in Europe. So this means that any customer or logistics data collected from EU users, such as shipping addresses or purchase history, that these have to be handled with a high level of transparency. So Patagonia has to obtain clear consent. They have to allow users to access their data whenever they want, and also have to give them the option to delete it on demand if it's requested. And similarly, in the United States, Patagonia must also consider a lot of state laws. And a pretty big one is the California Consumer Privacy Act, which is the CCPA. And with this one, it requires companies to clearly disclose how customer data is being used, who it's being shared with, and it also makes sure that you have to allow customers to opt out of data sharing or request deletion. So pretty similar to the one in Europe. And as more states follow California's lead, privacy laws in the US are only going to get stricter. So any AI implementation that must be built from now on should be more privacy by design. And this will help future-proof Patagonia's operation so that if a new law comes out, not everything is gone to waste. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was the environmental compliance and sustainability standards, especially in cloud operations. So since Patagonia is committed to reducing its carbon footprint, like we just talked about, and its AI mission should follow this, Patagonia should require transparency from the provider regarding the energy sources that are powering their data centers and what strategies that they're using to actually reduce their emissions, especially with Patagonia's net zero goals. So to hold partners accountable, Patagonia can implement sustainability clauses in their contracts, and then they can also conduct third-party audits to make sure they're real and to verify compliance with standards. So an example of a standard that they could use is the ISO 14001. And this one certifies environmentally responsible management practices. So this is just another step that could make sure Patagonia isn't just optimizing efficiency and staying competitive, but they're also doing it sustainably, since that is their whole company motto. And another reason why a cloud-based AI model would be the right choice for Patagonia is because it also reduces a lot of the legal and operation burden of maintaining an in-house infrastructure. Not only is it expensive, but it's also a lot of course, legal burden. So hosting AI on internal services would make Patagonia have to manage its own data compliance. It would have to do its own emissions tracking and environmental reporting. And this would just be expensive. It would be really risky and complex. So partnering with a provider, Patagonia can outsource all these responsibilities to experts that have already been equipped to meet all these international legal standards and all have experience with sustainability benchmarks. So this not only would it reduce the cost, but it'll also make sure that Patagonia stays ahead of all these evolving regulations and make sure that they're not compromising their core mission. And looking forward, the legal landscape around AI is evolving super fast. So in the EU, there's this AI Act that's been proposed, and it's set right now to classify AI systems by risk level, and it could impose some strict requirements around things like transparency, fairness, and environmental sustainability. So in the US right now, to compare, policymakers are discussing federal privacy laws and many different environmental reporting standards. So this is mainly for just digital infrastructure in general. So to restate that, Patagonia solution has to for sure be built for regulatory resilience, because you can't just look at what's required today, but what's likely coming tomorrow. So it has to be flexible. And we suggest that Patagonia should choose a responsible cloud provider, which will come with guardrails. For example, it'll have its own privacy protections. We should do sustainability contracts and third-party audits. And this will make sure that Patagonia can ensure that their AI implementation is not just legally compliant, but also environmentally ethical and built for the long term. So now I'll be passing it on to Jonathan to talk about the financials.
So thank you, Sandhya. So Patagonia has been long champion environmental stewardship and ethical business with a pledge of 100 million annually to environmental causes and commitment to net zero greenhouse gases. But how do we sustain this mission and remain profitable? So AI offers a 51% of ROI in just 3 years, according to a Everseen report published recently, while improving operational efficiency and enhances customer experience without compromising Patagonia's values. So let's explore how AI can make sustainability scalable with the finances. So since Patagonia is a privately held company, the exact values and operations are not publicly disclosed. Hence, here is a simple rough estimation of Patagonia's value and operation estimates if Patagonia were to follow its pledges to the environment they made. This includes a roughly 100 million annual donation to charity, a 1% donation to saving the environment, and keeping the annual gross margin at around 10%. As Patagonia's publicly available annual benefit corporation report is only updated till the fiscal year of 2023 to 2024. We set the competition and end date of the report as of 2023, April 30th, which is the most recent data we could find. And for simplicity, the Patagonia's enterprise value stands at 3 billion with the annual revenue of 1.5 billion from 2022 when Yovan donated the company. So the ROI of AI will be 51% because as the report from Everseen made, and we ran a simple EV revenue multiple model to predict how much funds was left after donations that of $100 million per year, and we could see that there's around 50 million available, so around 2024, and we could use it to reinvest in AI that drives efficiency across operations, unlocking a estimated return of 175.5 million over 3 years, not accounting for compounding. So even with 50 million in available funds, we with the help of AI, not only will operations be more environmentally friendly and improve customer experience, but Patagonia will also be able to generate more revenue for donating to environmental sustainability causes. And now I'll pass it off to Jonathan for solutions.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, the other Jonathan. Again, our team really believes that the solution that we have come up with is something that will help the bottom line profit margin to give back more than 100 million to different charities as well. But here are some not viable options that our team vetted out to make sure that there's no doubt in your guys' mind that you guys are able to make the right decision that we suggest. First, the not use of AI. First, it is disrupting innovation as well as Jonathan's, our team's financial backings as well. That is money left on the table and will slow down Patagonia's potential profit, which in the end actually slows down the potential giving back to different charities as well as great non-for-profits. Next, the use of open AI and partnering with a big AI company is extremely expensive, as well as kind of lowers down that 51% ROI within those 3 years. It's also a liability in terms of environmental sustainability, as sometimes within the news it may cause certain things as well as controversies. And I think the biggest takeaway that our team also saw too, backed by, according to an article by BCG, of how CEOs are really trying to find the difference and the balance between climate change as well as profits with the use of AI is not to use Azure or AWS, Amazon solutions, because again, once Patagonia aligns themselves with a specific company that may not have the same values as them, it may be less expensive and again, help the profits in the long term to give back more. However, the reputation of Patagonia and again its purpose and its mission will be tarnished in the process. So our next big solution that we have, again, just a reminder, recap, is yes, use AI. Yes, help. It will help in terms of the bottom line, the profit of 175 ROI, as well as use it within the supply chain transparency and management, as well as provide a solution. And in our recommendation is a solution, a hybrid solution provided by Panduit. They're really good at one thing, and that is data security as well as fiber manufacturing. So everything is in-house, as well as Patagonia will be their top priority. Not to mention, they also align with the environmental goals and again, keep purpose over profit. Next, in terms of implementation, our team really believes we saw 3 pain points. First one was marketing. A lot of times, a lot of your Patagonia's, I guess, competitors use either customer calls as well as chatbots that are AI to kind of help, again, lead and alleviate some of the headaches and internal uses in terms of the customer actually landing to that specific payment or a thing. We kind of compare it to the Amazon shopping cart, right? The more stops you have to get to that specific point to actually purchase that is how many times a customer can say no. So being able to really streamline that process is key. Next is using AI ethically within the supply chain transparency. Specifically looking at maybe a website as well as maybe distribution to kind of see how can you all mitigate the risks of environmental impacts, at the same time helping customers understand where your products are coming from and still be able to increase that profit margin. Not to mention too is using AI in the terms of environmental impact and monitoring that as well. Because again, if the ROI of 51% over 3 years is reached, however, the environmental impact kind of takes away from that, that is going to be a problem. And that's why we believe the solution that our team is presenting, which is yes, use AI to keep ahead of the innovation as well as increase that profit margin. Next, if you're going to use AI, please use it within the supply chain transparency. And then most importantly, go with a hybrid cloud solution, since the other solutions that we provided were not extremely viable and did not line up with Patagonia's, I guess, principles. And next, I'm going to pass it to Asha to kind of speak about more.
All right, thank you. So to talk about maximizing this impact of the solution that we provided, I wanted to bring it back to Patagonia's core principles, where they are very focused on inspiring change and implementing change in order to protect the climate. So our solution mainly falls under the management section of this segmentation that we've got for the goals of Patagonia. And to look at some other areas, we can look at how the other aspects of this goal can help promote, and how it can all work together to create a more ethically viable use of AI in the broader context of the business world. So looking at resource allocation, Patagonia prides itself on introducing or assisting and donating to smaller organizations that have similar values. And I'm sure that these smaller organizations are also struggling with similar issues of similar dilemmas of implementing technological advancements while being mindful of the environment. And through this solution, Patagonia will be gaining experience that they can use to help process or help other organizations process through this. And additionally, something that already builds off of what has been starting recently at AI is using the ActionWorks program to promote events related to AI and using it sustainably. So I know in January, one of the more recent events in Canada that Patagonia was promoting through ActionWorks was the how to use AI ethically as a nonprofit, and that was one of the first AI-focused events that ActionWorks has been working with. So it all kind of comes together to build off of that larger goal of being able to balance profit and purpose. And through this solution, we should be able to help Patagonia maintain its position as an industry leader, while also finding this balance and making sure that the technology and the climate are not in conflict with each other. So we thank you for your time, and we look forward to hearing any questions that you have.
Thank you so much, team. Appreciate it. So if I understand correctly, your proposed solution is to use AI, right? Can you help me just help clarify a little bit what was the business ethics issue that the OpenAI or the AI usage is supposed to solve for?
So using AI, just using it without our solution would lead to much higher carbon emissions. And we also don't think they should use AI without the exact purpose that we have given them, that we have given you guys, which is to use it in the supply chain, so that using the AI, even though it has kind of a little bit of a negative impact on the environment, but using it in the supply chain will help improve carbon emissions through that aspect. So overall, the net emissions will go down. And also using the type of AI model that we've recommended, which is a hybrid cloud. These kind of AI models, these data centers rely more off of solar energy and that energy rather than fossil fuels. So there are a few different ways that Patagonia could go, which is not using AI, which wouldn't help with innovation, using a big AI model that would have negative environmental impacts and go against their goals, or our solution, which is the hybrid cloud model, using it specifically in supply chain areas, which will decrease emissions overall, hopefully, for the company.
Let me see if I can kind of rephrase what you said to make sure I understand. Are you saying that the ethical issue is within the supply chain?
I think the ethical issue is using AI at all, because Patagonia is already using AI, and we think that there are better ways to use AI than what they're doing now.
Okay, so the ethical issue is with the use of the AI, not the supply chain.
Yes.
Okay, I was trying to figure that. And what is it exactly that is making it an ethical issue for Patagonia?
I think Patagonia is committed to the environment, and so then using AI, it can have such negative impacts on the environment because training an AI model has such high carbon emissions. I think it's 17 times amount of carbon emission than the average American life, to put it in perspective. So it really can hurt the environment a lot, and that's something that Patagonia has always stood against. So if you guys already use it in the business, then this is the best way to do it.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
I think we were saying more in terms of the ethical portion of it is how to use AI ethically in terms of the environment as well. Yeah. So just to clear that.
Got it. Thank you so much. And now I'll open up questions from the board. Why don't we start with you, John?
Okay, yeah, I have a question. So, good presentation. It's a super important issue that you guys are raising. And you actually caused me to go out and do some research just to understand what the issues are. But I was hoping that maybe you could explain to me how you drew the line. So when you said, okay, it's maybe an evil, um, maybe AI is an evil. And so, but if you limit the amount of AI that you use, then, then maybe it could, the way I understood it, you were saying that maybe you can offset some of the bad effects with some good effects. And so net, maybe we're at the environment's ahead. But the point though that I was curious about is what was your reasoning on drawing the line at using AI in the supply chain only, and what benefits concretely do you see from using AI in the supply chain? So those are two questions. How did you determine to draw the line at supply chain only? And second, concretely, what benefits could we, as Patagonia, hope to gain from using AI in the supply chain?
I could talk a little bit about the supply chain aspect of it. So Patagonia has acknowledged that majority of their carbon emissions comes from their supply chain. And through using AI, the goal here would be to reduce those by properly managing these supply chains. And especially with the amount of clothing waste that comes from producing clothing, even after even the clothing that hasn't been sold and like any defected clothing and etc. That's what our proposed solution is meant to solve for your guys' supply chains. And in terms of drawing the line, our goal here was to really minimize the evils, as you were saying, about the AI itself. So again, by using the type of AI that we were talking about, it's meant to reduce the environmental impact. While it's still going to have an environmental impact, it's meant to minimize it as much as possible in order to properly use this AI to improve the environmental impact in other areas, such as the supply chain.
Thank you. Monica?
Yes. Thank you for your presentation. You really exposed me to new concepts that I was not familiar with. If you could take me through the journey, though, of how you came to this solution. Like, what other solutions did you explore, if any? And how did you determine that this was the best solution to recommend?
Yeah. I know our team specifically, again, we talked about it in the slideshow too. So if I guess the first portion was if Patagonia was gonna use AI, they should use it for a purpose and not just to use it because everyone else is using it, right? You want to be original. Patagonia has always been a very original, authentic brand. So that's one thing. Next, choosing an actual solution. We believe that a hybrid cloud solution would be the best based on the carbon emissions as well as the cost. So realizing that it does with Panduit, it costs about $1 million to actually maintain that specific model as well as that implementation. However, the ROI is 51% and $175 million over the 3 years. That is less than 1% of that actual profit, which is awesome. But also, too, is I think the biggest thing is Patagonia's identity is so strong in purpose over profit, being sustainable, being environmentally friendly, to making sure that we don't recommend you an easy solution that you can just kind of pass off as say, hey, well, let's say if Azure, which is Microsoft, right? Or let's say AWS, which is Amazon solutions, they may not be at their forefront of your guys' specific needs and goals and may just see you as just another client, and they may just see you guys as more of a profit and less on those principal side. So someone like Panduit, where it would be mainly dealing with like a more one-on-one client type of thing, a specialized, customizable hybrid cloud approach that kind of puts Patagonia at the forefront and being mindful of both the cost, the environmental, I guess, impact of it as well. That since all their data center itself is in-house, they even make all the different cables for it too, so it reduces the cost. Their cooling system is very green too. Our team actually got a chance to visit it, which was really nice too. And being able to, again, to give the best of both worlds, right? Referring back to that article by BCG of how can a CEO with this new age of AI and innovation still maintain the climate change and the environmental impact of it. Because again, our suggestion is please use AI, but use it in a specific way so that it benefits both the profits as well as aligns with your goals.
As a follow-up question to what you said, please use it, but use it to the point where it aligns with your goal. Why is it Patagonia's responsibility? It sounds to me use of AI and the increase in data center. It's an industry issue, right? So why is it Patagonia's responsibility to take on this ethical issue?
Yeah, so Patagonia has never been one to back down from a challenge. They've always been very clear about speaking out about their values, and at their core, they really want to inspire institutional change. And so this is something that aligns with those values that Patagonia has. They have in the past been very active about certain aspects of the clothing industry that might be harmful to the environment. They've been very clear about that. And I believe that this is just another one of those aspects that Patagonia can cover and that they are involved in. And so they should care about it.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions from the judges or the board? I apologize.
Yeah, I have another question on the financial piece. I noticed that there's several finance majors here on the team. I saw it on the executive summary. But I was curious about the ROI calculation, not so much getting into the details of the calculation itself, but can you explain to me so it's return on investment. So I understand the return side. What is the investment piece that you guys are considering when figuring out the return?
So since it was a really simple model, and then I couldn't really, the team, well, we couldn't really find any specific amount that was used by other competitors that the specific amount that other competitors were pouring into investing into AI. And so we did a more generalized assumption that what if all of the profits that Patagonia generated were poured into AI, this is the maximum amount that Patagonia would be able to receive. And of course, we wouldn't need to pour all of the profits into it because, as the other Jonathan was saying, Panduit only requires around $1 million in investment, so it wouldn't require that amount of investment, but the ROI will be the same.
Okay. Okay. And then the other question I had was on the solution itself. So you guys referred to a hybrid AI solution, and I wasn't clear as to what is the hybrid portion of the. I understand what AI is, but what is hybrid AI?
Yeah. So hybrid AI basically, so a cloud solution itself, right? So something, let's say like Azure, Microsoft, that specifically, if Patagonia does want to go with Microsoft, they have different cloud options where it's platform as a service, software as a service, infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service basically means that Patagonia itself has to have their own data center, their own laptops running that specific AI, which is extremely expensive. The next tier of that is the platform itself, so maybe different websites, different CRMs that Patagonia can use to either track the distribution as well as different internal systems that Patagonia can use for the supply chain. After that, the software is maybe more of a presentation, maybe softwares in terms of optimizing the best routes. That is more of a traditional cloud solution, and hybrid cloud solution is more of a mix of it, right? So it's a smaller data center. It is more on the actual client itself, so not the provider, but more Patagonia itself, and kind of take ownership of saying, hey, we just want to use this amount of energy for this specific month, and it kind of changes between that. It's also really nice too in the sense because majority of the time, in terms of Microsoft or Amazon, that is a more stringent type of fee. The SLA is pretty restricted in terms of flexibility of when to have it on, when to turn it off, and things like that. And being able to have a hybrid cloud solution with Panduit gives more flexibility and is more conscious of money, time, as well as the environmental impact.
Okay. And one last question, if you don't mind. And so then following up on that then, so how does Panduit then help us solve for the use of for the ethical use of the energy that AI platforms utilize? How does Panduit help us solve for that?
Yeah, I guess I can answer for the group as well. But our team really, in terms again, there we were able to actually visit their specific location, and they are a chip manufacturer, so they use all recycled chips. So everything's in-house, it's less expensive. They have one main priority, and that's sustainability and making sure that they don't deviate too much from that. So already they align with you all as a company, Patagonia's mission and goals, not to mention their cooling system. And as Olivia mentioned as well, is more on solar panels. It's out in Orland Park in Illinois, which is really nice. And being able to, again, to kind of see how they're able to harness solar energy, maintain very minimal use of carbon emissions, and at the same time, maximize those profits for you all as Patagonia, which in then turn allows Patagonia to give back more to the different organizations.
I think so. I do want to kind of circle back on the hybrid use. It sounds to me like you think Patagonia should leverage some of the existing cloud computing like AWS and Azure, but then also build out some in-house data center. Is that a fair statement?
Or I would say we're suggesting that they don't explore Microsoft or Azure, but then go with their own hybrid cloud with partnering with someone like Panduit that's more environmentally conscious, less expensive, and allows for, again, their great use of recycled chips and cooling system and energy system. So more yes, dive into the hybrid cloud solution, but don't go with Microsoft or Amazon.
Okay, because you feel that Microsoft and Amazon might not be fully in tune with some of the ethical concerns with the data centers that they're rolling out?
Yes, that is correct. Especially being able to run these data centers, these chips that have to use uranium and very toxic things to the environment as well as the workers and employees there as well. So being able to be mindful of that, and I think it also provides a very interesting personal relationship with Panduit and Patagonia, where Patagonia is not just another paycheck or one-time client on a long list of sheets that Microsoft and Amazon has.
Got it. So with that, so with the increased demand for these data centers of Panduit, how do you ensure, like, what are some of the ways that we would what are some of the actions that we would take to make sure that they're putting data centers in a place that might not be impacting local communities? Or how do we consider all of those implications of the increase in data centers that Panduit would have to build out to support Patagonia's demand?
Well, I might hand this back to Jonathan, but just to like speak on that a little bit more, Patagonia has been known very well for auditing and making sure that all of their processes are very well, they're meeting the standards of that they require of their supply chain. And so this would be another one of those steps. So they would do site visits. They could, they already are practiced in making sure that their operations are up to their standards. And this would be another part of that practice.
Yeah, and just adding, oh, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but again, thank you so much, Asha. Again, being able to, our team was able to speak with the director, I believe, of the North American different plants, so streaming from Canada, United States, as well as Mexico, and being able to be conscious of, hey, we have these compliance rules with our supply chain, with our marketing, where we even source our clothes, that can be very transferable over to the use of AI. And I think also too, since the data centers are already very environmentally friendly, being able to make sure, again, that balance of are we doing too much? And I think also it goes back to, again, making sure that we're communicating this clearly. If Patagonia is you are to use AI to specifically use it for that one aspect in the supply chain transparency, so that you are not committing more carbon emissions and hurting the environment more, and rather be very mindful of the use of AI.
Thank you. Do we have any last questions from the judges before moving on to feedback?
Yes, so I want to be clear. Are you proposing that Patagonia not implement AI anywhere else within the company but supply chain?
Yes, that is correct. In terms of just the supply chain itself, the different, I guess the other ones that we showed in the slideshow were different avenues that could be pursued. Again, we can just make suggestions. You guys are the ones who are making this decision at the end of the day. However, our best for your all best interest, our research really shows that the most optimal use of AI would be within the supply chain itself, to be able to be conscious of profits as well as giving back and being mindful of the carbon emissions with the use of that Panduit hybrid cloud data center.
And as a follow-up question, do you know how AI is used amongst competitors and if that would hold them back by only targeting supply chain and not in other areas of the business?
I would say specifically other competitors such as H&M, Zara, even Nike, I would say, they have used AI for specific either online shopping, suggesting certain products to customers, as well as designs that the customers can actually have. Again, however, referring back to that article is making sure that as the board that Patagonia stays in line and does not become money hungry or even develop FOMO of like, hey, Zara is killing it in terms of their marketing with their AI, but making sure that they are staying authentic to themselves and not just pursuing AI because it's the newest and hottest thing, but being very intentional, which will actually build more customer trust as well as gain the respect that Patagonia is not just another company using AI just because it's hot and it's new, and being mindful of their core values at the same time. And I think it, again, provides a great authentic story and aligns with their values.
Yeah, and to expand on that as well, I think that because Patagonia's audience and the people that they want to reach are people that are very conscious of the environment, they are not there are usually people that are well informed about the harmful impacts of competitors that competitors might have on the environment, and by leveraging those other expansion or like maximizing the impact that I was talking about earlier, that can also help improve the awareness of this and draw more people towards Patagonia because they're more aware of the strong environmental strengths that Patagonia is offering. And so that would help to offset a bit of the concerns about falling behind of these other areas that aren't using AI.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we can proceed into the feedback session. So judges, you can take off your board hat and yes. So the team would greatly appreciate any feedback that you have in order to help them advance in the next round and be able to kind of refine their presentations and think through some of the things that we might have missed. So why don't we start with Monica? Would you like to provide feedback?
Yes, thank you. Well, again, great job to the team. You all did an outstanding job in your presentation. It's obvious that you guys really put a lot of thought into your research, into your recommendation and the content that you shared, and really enjoyed your confidence and your passion around the topic and what you shared. As I mentioned, you guys really exposed me in concepts because, I didn't know what a hybrid cloud solution was. So I'm like researching and asking ChatGPT at the same time as I'm listening to you here. But one of the things that I would recommend is to be more clear, maybe elaborate more on the problem statement so that we truly understand the ethical dilemma that exists. To sell me on recommendations, it always helps me to understand what competitors are doing. Not that we want to follow them in order to be competitive, but it's always just great to know what are our competitors or other companies that we admire are doing, so that we can do that comparison. And as we're analyzing the different data points to make our decision and make sure it's as informed of a decision as possible.
Thank you. So first of all, yeah, I want to echo what Monica said. I really enjoyed the presentation, the topic. I loved the passion, because I think bringing passion to a presentation like this is really helpful because it helps sort of focus people on the issues. You clearly have a level of competence that I certainly don't have in this area, and I should. And I've learned as a result of this. You guys said some really good things. I like the comment about balancing profit and purpose. That's a really good way of sort of framing up the whole conversation and framing up, answering the why they should care about AI and the impact it's having. I also love the idea of authenticity and trust because that's exactly what Patagonia is all about. They're all about being authentic and they're all about earning the trust of the customers that they have. They drew the line a long time ago, a very, very heroic line, I thought. And so I think appealing to that side. And the reason I bring this up though is because I also want to give you guys a caution. And the caution is that language matters. What you say and how you say it really matters. And so there 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 was some sort of really black and white language that was used that I caution you when you're, forget about Patagonia for the moment, but if you're when you're in a position where you're either trying to convince somebody of something or trying to open their eyes and their minds to a concept, an ethical issue, whatever it is, using sort of terms that are like trigger terms or that tend to isolate or that are too black and white, I think doesn't serve the purpose to, the objective that you're trying to reach. So I think using terminology like balanced profit and purpose and authenticity and trust is really good terminology. Using terms like corporate greed and this sort of thing that sort of, is while we may believe it, it's still, I think you need to consider the audience and you need to consider how you say it. So that's one thing that I would give you some advice on. The other one is to echo Monica. I think it's really important that since this is a a presentation on presenting an ethical business issue problem and then presenting the solution, being really crisp about that ethical problem is super important. And so, like I said, you guys triggered when I read the executive summary. This really came close to home because I went and I did some research to figure out to really understand what the AI issue is and the amount of energy that we're going to have to use in the next 5 years is incredible. So I think it would be really helpful if you had included right up front in the presentation talking about, we're going to have to go from whatever it is, 60 gigawatts to 120 gigawatts, 170 gigawatts in the next 5 years. And what does that mean? And what are the implications to the environment potentially? That would be really powerful. So I think framing it up that way really clearly and showing the potential huge negative impact that AI can have is, I think, just framing it up clearly and not assuming that everybody knows. I didn't know, and so I think that would be really. And there's some good articles out there right now. I just found one from March of this year that really frames up in a easy way to understand all the numbers. So I think that would be really helpful. And then more clarity on the solution. I still, to be honest with you, walked away not understanding, about who Panduit is and why and are they infrastructure? Are they equipment? Do they provide the energy? Where's the AI? Where's the software going to come from? Who's going to develop that? Can I buy software and run it on Panduit's, infrastructure? So I kind of walked away not really understanding the full solution. Yeah, and so I think those are probably the main things. Keep the passion, be really clear about what the problem is, be more clear about the solution and how it solves the problem, and then the way you tied it into to profit and purpose and authenticity and that sort of. I think that sort of ties Patagonia into answering the why they should care.
Thank you so much, John.
Thank you, John. If I may, on the solution, I'd like to add, one more thing. If you could include a comparison of what options exist for solutions so that the audience feels they have a choice or are more informed on the choices that exist and why this recommendation is the better out of them. I think that would really help to have that breakdown too, because I kept finding myself just hungry for more to understand why not AWS, why not the other Microsoft. I mean, you seem very passionate about not a good option, but I really wanted to understand the why behind that even more. So if you would be able to articulate that, that would be really helpful.
Yes, great feedback from both John and Monica, and I couldn't say it any better. One thing I will add is the use of AI is a very important and hot topic right now. So you are talking about something that's very important, and you're doing a very good job with presenting that as an issue. The challenge with it is it casts a wide net of all the ethical issues that can come with it, right? So figuring out how do you simplify that issue statement and the solution and be more confident and definitive going forward will catch the attention, because at times I was trying to figure out, are we solving for a discrimination issue, are we solving for a vendor issue, like what is it that we're solving for? And a good exercise is just write it out, ask why 5 times, why is this an issue, and come down to the simplest core issue of it is, I think what you're saying is AI is using a lot of energy, and some of the big vendors out there are not necessarily building the data center with sustainability in mind, right? And I'm just assuming and speculating, but see if you can simplify it for your next round to make sure that before you even get into your solution, people understand what the issue is and what you're trying to solve for. So it doesn't make them guess throughout your presentation. Well, fantastic job, team. Thank you so much for your time and effort putting into it. We wish you all the very best.